What's happening, everyone? This is a special edition of Security AMA. Vince and I have been doing a couple dry runs. We've been working on this actually for a couple weeks now, or more actually. And yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. So I maybe a couple months ago, I was working on some code because I came across an idea of, I know there's a way to transfer sound to transfer data over sound. And I was like, I wonder if anyone put a library together to do this before, has been tested. What we're going to demonstrate today, I've never seen anyone do, I guess, a live demonstration. I'm not even sure I've ever heard anyone really talk about it, the practical application of it. So if this doesn't make a lot of sense, trust me, we'll get into it. I'll explain it all. I'll share the link to the code here in a second too. And when I bring Vint in, we'll get into it. But it's one of those just very cool security things that, if you've heard the concept of air gapped or internet gaps and all that stuff, you're not supposed to be able to talk between computers. But just because there's not wires, there's not internet access, other things may be able to communicate with each other, such as good old speaker and microphone. So yeah, Vince is on today. We're going to go through the demo, go through the code and stuff as well. It should be really fun, as well as making this a general security AMA. As far as that goes, you got other unrelated questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We can answer them as well. But without further ado, welcome back to the stream. It's been a while. Crypto Vince, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, going good. How are you, man?
Of course, doing good. Just excited for this stream. I know yesterday we did the dry run. I was like, yes, it works. And we got all the setup happening here. And again, for everyone listening, so I'll pull up the wiki, but I just want to again emphasize I'll be sending data. So if I was walking by Vince's computer, I could do this with another computer. But since we're in two completely different locations, I'm going to send the data over through my microphone because we're with each other, and then his speaker is going to play it to the microphone of the other computer. And that computer is, again, just only internet access part of this is because we're demoing it live over the internet. You don't need it. I could walk by his computer and do the same thing with a microphone and speaker. His computer is going to receive the data and then do something with it. And we're going to do there's a couple different demos that the code I wrote does. One of them is actually execute a program of whatever program you want to execute, that kind of thing, which is really interesting security-wise. And the other is put whatever text into the clipboard. And it can read data, it can send data, it can transfer data back and forth. I've tried it with files. The code does different things as well. But today we're just going to demo I'm going to put a string of text, and I'm going to send it to Vince's computer that he's listening. He's willingly receiving this data in his computer that's not connected to the internet. The only one that's connected to the internet is the one that's receiving the sound. And then it's going to take that data and put it in the clipboard. And we're going to talk about some of the different, if anyone's heard of Bitcoin Clipper, Ethereum Clipper, there's all these different malware attacks that are malware that basically, before you send a transaction, before you connect MetaMask or whatever, it will try to copy and the malware author's address over, put that in your clipboard before you paste it in the MetaMask or whatever wallet you're using, so that you send it to them instead of what you thought you had in there. Very, very sneaky. And this is one of the things that kind of shows how this can be, how that kind of thing works as over using the clipboard. And this is, again, not using the internet, just using sound. So I know that's a big mouthful. Vince, what do you got to play with it a little bit. What is your first reactions when you were just messing with it while I bring this stuff up?
I thought it was really interesting how, you could just transmit data over sound that's not intelligible to humans, and it's a pretty unique way to just transfer data back and forth to something that's air gapped and completely cordoned off. So I think definitely has some good and potentially bad applications. Just depends on whose hands it's in. But,
yeah, and again, I put this in the disclaimer. I'll get through it too. But this is not an exploit. This is not. It's not even. I wouldn't really call it. So it's a tool you can use to transfer data. So just like anything else, you can. If you set up a server on your computer and you use a weak password, if you just make a username ABC and a password 123, did you just put malware on your own computer? It's like everything's just a tool. It's like, how people use it, stuff like this. So this is demonstrating the kind of stuff to be aware of. To air gap may not mean air gapped. You may not be as your computer that you're trying to make air gapped or internet gapped or whatever may not be as secure as you think it is if it has a microphone. And if it gets compromised or somebody has access to it, they can still they can still transfer data even if there's no wires, even if there's no IP address, no networking, stuff like that. So not an exploit. I wouldn't even call it malware the way it is. It's just a experiment to test data transfer, and no warranty, educational purposes only. Don't use it for anything bad. This is something to make you more aware of these types of things and how they work and how off-the-shelf open source tools you can put together to use them. And that's why I thought it was so interesting to talk about it. So yeah, I'll go through the wiki too. And the tool name, I just named it SoundExec because, again, you can transfer data, you can execute commands with it. Clipboard manipulation is what we're going to be demonstrating today. And again, this is all to understand the risk of, air gap. It may not be as air gapped as you think it is, but if it has a microphone, maybe that's another thing you do if you're really trying to secure a computer somewhere or want to keep it offline. Make sure you disable the microphone, make sure you disable stuff like that can still be used to transfer data if you really want, that maximum security in that particular area. So the open source libraries, this is kind of the graphical demonstration I came up with, which is basically you can take, again, one computer, and if that has a speaker, and another computer that has a microphone, and if you so there's two components to this. There's a sender, a transmitter, a sender, and a receiver. So you have the sender, which has the speaker on the computer. You have one program on there, which is what I'm going to have on my computer today. And then Vint is going to have the receiver on the other end, which is he's just going to put his speaker that's going to hear the sounds that I play, which sounds like a dial-up modem. If anyone has ever used a dial-up internet or was around for that era, it sounds like like all that stuff. It sounds like these unintelligible noises, sort of as Vince alluded to. But for computers, it's actually encoded data over sound. And
I think R2D2 for any Star Wars fans out there.
There you go, R2D2 type sounds. And then on his computer, that again is not connected to the internet, not wired, not wireless, not Wi-Fi, nothing like that. His microphone is going to receive the data, and it's going to do something. And we've just set it up to just copy whatever I put in the data. It's going to copy that to his clipboard. I thought that would be the easiest demo to talk about the Clipper attack, and we can get into that in a second too. But it's basically just something that what I explained about copying over an attacker's address to your clipboard once they have infected your computer with malware. That's something that's is a very sneaky attack that seems to be pretty common in the crypto compromising era that we're in of people getting hacked and stuff like that. So again, why I do this research? Again, I firmly believe that been working security a long time. You can't defend against attacks without knowing how they work. So that's why we test. That's why I like to research these things, understand how they actually work, and not just. I don't. If people have seen my security AMAs before or heard me talk about on other people's shows and stuff, I like to get down to the ground truth. I don't like to say, oh, don't do this because it's insecure. Like, what does that mean? I want more resolution than that, as Richard might say. Like, where's the resolution in that? Like, I want to know how it actually works. And then once you know how it works, you can protect yourself and you can be more confident when speaking to other people about it as well. So that's first part, understanding how it works. The second part is the risk of anyone actually using this in the field is pretty low because you need to be. So as me and Vince have struggled we finally got the demo working, but we really had to be close. We had to have a microphone and a speaker extremely close to each other for this to work. And I'm sure there's if there's nation state, military grade, I'm sure they can figure out how to pinpoint and send sound waves much more precisely and faster and louder and all that stuff too. But again, it is noisy. So if someone was driving by to blast these noises at your computer, you might be aware of it too, because you're going to hear the R2D2 type sounds coming out, the dial-up modem stuff. So it's pretty low for someone actually using it and not getting caught using it or it being undetected and all that. There's a lot of ways to think about that. And someone actually needs to put this, they actually need to put the receiver on the computer that they want to communicate with, whether they trick you into installing it or somehow the receiver needs to be on the computer for it to work too. So without you noticing, be physically close enough to the computer to listen and catch the audio to even work. So this is for educational purposes. There may be more advanced versions that people can build and stuff as well. This is all built from this library, open source software, like I said, that's been around for a while. And I don't know what people are using it for. I'd be interested to see the other applications, but yeah, apparently people are using it to transfer data over sound because it's a data over sound GG Wave library. So shout out to them. I think it looks like they were doing some, they have like a phone demo here where they were using it with a phone and something else, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is a well-established open source library that that this application is built on. They're going to run as well. Again, the use case, again, put text, so you can copy text to the clipboard. Basically, once you transfer data, whatever on the receiver side you want to do, I just programmed it to do certain things. So I'll open up the code real quick on the receiver. You can program it to do whatever you want with the data. I just thought interesting demos would be copy to the clipboard using the paperclip library, didn't mean to. Where am I at? GitHub has changed. So, okay. Copying it to the clipboard or executing it as a command. So, which is very, very common security, like the command execution stuff is the type of thing that's happened, especially in malware and all that stuff, type of stuff too. So, you can program it to do whatever you want with the data. I just did those two for demos. And then I've also tested reading content of the file, so you can use for like exfiltration of data, you might say as well. But it's got a lot of limits around that for the data encoding over sound. A lot of technical intricacies around it too. Also failed many times. I swear I had this working on Windows at one point, and then I went to test it with Vince, and then boom, it just like failed to compile, failed to build on Windows. Don't know why. If anyone has any, if anyone wants to test this and tell me what's wrong with on Windows or update the instructions or do a pull request, feel free because it would be cool to demo on Windows. But today we're demoing it from Linux, running the sender of the sound and the Linux receiving the sound as well. But assume this works on Windows, assume it works on Mac. It just broke at the last minute, so we couldn't test Windows, and it should work on Mac as well. So this is about how to use it. Again, the instructions for Linux. And then this is basically what we're going to do. We're just going to go through. I'm going to run the sender, or Vince is going to run the receiver first. He's also got a phone that's going to show the page, going to show his screen where you can see what's going on. He's going to show you disabling the internet, all that stuff. And then I'm going to send over the data. It's going to copy it he's going to copy something to his clipboard first. And then I'm going to send over data, and it's going to copy the clipboard, and you're going to see how it received the data, put it in the clipboard, and how this may frame some of the different things to be aware of, such as the Clipper attacks and stuff that happen in crypto. So I think why is this relevant to crypto? Well, it doesn't have to be, but I'm making it relevant here because there is a Clipper attack that's pretty interesting, and we can sort of show how that works too. Not show how the Clipper attack works, but show how, if someone has control of your clipboard, what they can do and how they may can affect you in that way. So again, not an exploit, not malware. Use it for educational purposes only. This is to demonstrate the risk and what can happen in these things that I never thought of before. I was like, oh yeah, it can probably do that, but is it that easy? Maybe you need some specialized library, maybe some specialized hardware. No, you don't need any of that. You just need open source library, need a couple computers, and you need to, of course, have a sender receiver working. But that's about it. Vince, is there anything else people should know before we get into the demo?
Not that I can think off the top of my head. You explained it pretty well. I think you'll talk about it later. But yeah, there's attacks out there where they can just kind of replace your copy pasta with their like if you were copying your own address or an address of some place that you need to send your crypto to, they could replace it with their own address and steal your funds that way. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If you had another cool demo might be actually having MetaMask and me sending a null address or something to show that too. But people out there, they can demo on their own. They can, if you guys want to play with it. Again, I put the link in the chat if you want to download it. Don't download it, play with it. Again, see if you can get it working on Windows. It should work. For some reason, it wasn't, so we didn't try it on that. We're trying on Linux today. I get the question from Paul. What's up, Paul? Possible computers that are shut down? No. So this is not this particular one. Like when you ask that question, I think there are these interesting other processors that are running even when the other computer is shut down that I know of, which have have been plagued with security vulnerabilities because, wow, that's such a big attack surface over the last few years or so. But for this particular case, you need a running computer that is running this Python script is the implementation I did with the code. And it's just a receiver. And what it does, it listens on your microphone for sound. And when it hears a sound from a speaker that it recognizes and is the right encoding, that it knows this data, it takes that data and then it does whatever you program the receiver to do with it, which in this case is copy to the clipboard and copy in your copy pasta piece. So this particular one doesn't work with the computer shutdown. However, that is there are different attacks and different vulnerabilities and stuff that have been public over the years for those types of things that computer shut down, server shut down, but actually there's another computer running inside of it that's still running and it's connected to the network, and lots of interesting stuff there that I've looked at. So morning MA as well. All right, you want to get into it, Vince?
Sure, yeah. I'll go ahead and switch my display to my NUC, which is running Linux, Ubuntu. Log in.
So I'll remove mine from the screen, and then Vince will, once he's got everything set up, he'll have another video that is going to the computer, and then we'll start the process.
Type in a little text so that I can show that I have something on my clipboard first that's not from you. And then now I'll basically join the stream with my mobile. Because this way, yeah, I'll get to show you everything that's happening on screen.
Okay, so we got Vince mobile here.
Now let me make sure that the audio is
removed for now. Yeah, the feedback loop for a second. We had that problem yesterday for some reason.
Yeah.
Let me know when you want me to add it back to stream. I just I took it off for now.
Sorry, guys. Not sure how to. Yeah, it's strange because I already have my mic muted here, so there shouldn't be anything coming into the audio feed here.
Yeah, it's muted on that side as well.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we could work with this.
Okay, let me know when you want me to add it back.
So oh.
It's on stream for a second, just for folks who just joined. So Paul in the chat. Yeah, so this is not quite ones and zeros over phone. The phone in this case is just to show what's happening on the computer screen because Vince's camera is on him, so we got another camera on the computer screen where it's going to be receiving the data. So I'm going to be sending data, and then on his computer that he's going to show you is disconnected to from the internet. He's going to be receiving data, and then it's going to go into his clipboard. So without internet, he's going to another totally unrelated, unconnected to the internet computer at his house is going to receive data over the internet, technically only because we're not walking past each other right now. We're not physically in the same room. No, the internet that's the only thing I have to do with it.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay.
All right. So now you can see that I'm pointing my mobile to the top right of my screen, and it actually shows this little icon right here, which basically symbolizes that my NUC is connected to my router with Ethernet cable. So now we're going to turn it off. Okay, and so now basically there's no internet connection between the NUC and there's no internet connection. So through Ethernet or through Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is not connected either.
Just to clarify too for everyone watching, so there is 3 computers involved. Well, I guess 4 computers involved. I have a computer that I'm streaming with right now. Vince has a computer he's streaming with right now. Vince also has a NUC, a little baby computer that can be used for validating, that he's completely disconnected from the internet. And I have a computer that I'm going to use to generate the data to send over to his unconnected computer. So just to lay the landscape there.
So now we'll go back. We'll go here to my text editor, and then I just hit Control or hit Control V, and then you can see that I don't know if it's legible, but I just had the word PulseChain in my my clipboard. So yeah.
Perfect. PulseChain is currently in the clipboard.
Just hit space a couple times. Yeah, so that will. Yeah, and then I'll just paste the new word that comes in once we do the transfer. Okay, and then so here we've got our little terminal, just similar to like MS-DOS if you use Windows, where you just type in a bunch of commands, and then so right now got basically a fresh command prompt here, and then I'm just going to selected. But yeah, this is the command you need to run, and then I'll press enter, and then that last line you should see listening.
Yeah. So now it is listening for the data I'm going to send over and see what happens. Here we go. So I'll just put the speaker up to my microphone and see if anything happened on your end, Vince.
Okay, so it was successful, and then it replaced the clipboard copy pasta with RH for president.
Nice. RH for pres, and you want to paste it on the text editor too, just to show that it actually put it in the clipboard.
And then that's proof. Okay, my old copy pasta was the word PulseChain, and then of course I gotta select my mouse here.
Control V.
RH for president. And then awesome. Maybe if you want to choose a different word, and we can do it again just to show how it works to replace the clipboard again. We can probably do that too.
Absolutely. Yeah, let me type something else in. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Speaker.
Yep. New word is moon.
Moon.
Okay.
Yes.
So then if we go back to text editor right here.
If everyone noticed that it sounded different too, you could hear the encoding was like dee, and then I did a different kind of dee for a minute too, because it's a different word.
It's like Morse code.
Yeah, pretty much. There we go. Moon is in the clipboard. So this is the computer that is receiving this data has internet turned off. Vince showed that, and purely because we are logistically hundreds or thousands of miles away from each other right now, we're doing this over my microphone over the internet to his microphone or to his speaker connected to this stream, but giving the speaker to the microphone over the computer that is not connected to the internet, purely for remote distance. So if Vince was walking by my computer that was listening and he had a speaker, he could play the sound loudly enough where it would hear it. And if it was listening on my computer, it would receive the data and then put in a clipboard, execute a program. It could do whatever with the data it wants. It could send a file over or receive a file, stuff like that too. So very cool demo. Thank you to the demo gods for that. And everyone doesn't know how much time has went into making this happen over the last few weeks. So
a lot. Yeah.
Vince is like, please let it end. Please make it end.
Yeah, go ahead and turn off the mobile. So.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I'll put this back on the stream too. So anyone in the chat and Vince, do you anything else you want to talk about as far as how this works or what you thought did it change the way you look at like air gapping, or did it change the way you think about data transfer when you were getting into this?
I actually, it kind of blew my mind at first because I didn't really know that you could do this sort of thing. So I think from a OPSEC perspective, I didn't really go through like how it could be used for like black hat purposes. I just kind of assumed that it was something that maybe could be used for both sides, so to speak. But I didn't really run through the possible scenarios in my head.
Yeah, when I first came across it, again, I was just thinking, okay, I know it's possible. I know technically it's possible. You can encode data over audio and transfer it. Speaker and mic, you got a receiver, you got a sender. It makes sense. But I didn't know it'd be this easy. I didn't know there's already an open source library that like makes it all possible. And yeah, as far as what it can be used for, again, it's a tool. It's just a program. It can, please don't use it for evil. But I think it could be used. I don't know. There could be some interesting use cases too, because let's pull up the open source side. They're using it for like this phone deal too. They're testing it over a phone and a terminal. So like transferring data between the phone and your computer, which is pretty cool. So there's definitely a lot of legit use cases for this. But the biggest thing to me that after I saw how easy it was to do, I was thinking, wow, this is, I got to add this into my threat model. I got to make sure that if I am thinking of my computer, my NUC, any server, especially if I'm using it for crypto and I want it to be protected and not able to be compromised and stuff, I now have to think about the microphone. Now I always turn the microphone off anyways. In a lot of my stuff, I always have the camera slider and stuff on my laptop and phone and all that stuff too. Just because, why not? But for now that I've seen this actually work, I'm like, wow, I really need to disconnect the microphone like on these critical, secure devices, because these things can happen. Because this is something where if your device does get compromised and you're using it for something, they can take control. If they're able to compromise it and then communicate with it, even if you're not plugging in the internet, that's something you need to be aware of. And if it's as simple as disabling your microphone that they can protect against it, I mean, that's definitely one way to do it. So didn't know. I was looking at this black paper. Yes, it's kind of what it sounds like. But these are things that once you actually try them out, you're, wow, okay, now I need to take that a little bit more serious. Now I need to take microphones a little bit more seriously. So that's one of the takeaways I had from it when I went through it. Got a question from Black Paper 2. Are sounds encrypted? They're not encrypted. They're encoded though, and I believe they talk about. I'm sure that can be encrypted, but it's going to take a little bit more. I don't know if it actually supports encryption. So I don't know if you call it encoded, modulated, demodulated. I'm not sure. I'm not like a audio guy. But this basically talks about like what the frequencies are, the different bits and values they use and stuff. So if you can read this stuff and understand it, good for you. For me, it's just like, that's how it works. It's just encoded. I think it's the easiest way to think about it. And Paul says, could this be used nefariously? You know what? Another first thing this reminded me of is when What was it, a Super Bowl ad, or I thought there was some ad that was doing the Alexa or Google Voice thing where they're like, Alexa, play this sound or do this thing. And this is what it made me think of, especially us doing a live stream. If someone had a receiver who was listening, of course, they would be consenting to all this happening because they would literally be starting a receiver.
Accidentally triggered everybody's Alexa or something like that.
Yeah, they accidentally trigger devices who are listening for certain things. So this kind of reminded me of that, where it'd be funny that I don't think anyone's actually running the receiver and doing it, but if they were, they wanted it to happen, right? It's not like you're going to accidentally do it. You can accidentally have an Alexa in your kitchen, but you're not going to accidentally be running a receiver for modulated sounds. I don't think. So that's what it made me think of too. So Paul's question, I don't think so. I think it'd be purely you. So it took me and Vince a lot of time to figure this out and make it actually work over a live stream. If it was in person, it'd be a lot easier, but over a live stream, it takes a little bit of extra effort. You got to hook computers up and make sure the speakers sound is loud enough, all that. Actually helped me find a bug where I had the volume turned down in the code. I tried to turn the volume up to make it work better, which was awesome to find. You kind of gotta make this stuff work right now. This is very much this is not a professional way of putting it together. It's not commercialized. It's not not able to be, like I said, it'd be very noisy if you actually tried to use it in real life. But I don't know, maybe nation states and stuff, maybe they have like these crazy sound laser guns where they point the sound laser at something and it's blast really loud tones that we can't hear, the humans can't hear. Like, I guess that would be one way to like make it actually work in a spy novel situation. But in real life, it's just it is literally just for, wow, I didn't know I could do that. Like, that's pretty cool. And then that's why I thought it'd be cool to go through it, to write the code. And I like if you see my scripts, I like to write code from time to time. And yeah, it's super simple though. Like, literally the sender is like, hey, tell me a text or file to send over. And if it's a file, it reads the file. If it's a text, it just says, okay, here's the text. And then all it does is do a bunch of library stuff, does the encoding type, sets the volume, and then it just writes. It writes in the proper format. It writes it over according to all the variables and stuff, and then it writes it over to the receiver. Oops. And the receiver just takes it. It says, okay, I'm listening. I'm listening for the audio. It reads in the buffer, which was what we sent over. And then it decodes it into text. And it says, okay, if you chose to execute a command with that, it executes a command using the system function. If you chose to copy to clipboard, it uses a paperclip and copies to a clipboard. And that's about it. It's pretty simple. Was this like 70 lines of code? The other was probably 40. So pretty straightforward once you figure it out. But yeah, in real life, this is more of the college class learning about sound over data, and not the use in the field. I would not use this in the field and expect it to work very well unless you have one of those sound laser guns, which I just made up because maybe it's a thing, maybe not.
Maybe it will be in a couple hundred years.
And I think they probably, because where I keep up with security stuff too, they had something where they had a laser that you could point, and I think you could read data on monitors just by pointing the laser at the other monitor from distance. Like, that was a crazy thing of, okay, monitors work this way, and somehow we have lasers who can decode monitors from far away distances and stuff. So there's some pretty sci-fi type stuff out there, and especially, unless we get another Snowden leak or something, we're probably not going to find out about them for a long time anyways. Black paper, any way to remove physically from the computer? You talk about the microphone? You depends on the computer. Some microphones, especially the older ones, have literally, you can like snip the wires. I don't think they work that way anymore. I think it's mostly integrated circuits from all the modern stuff, especially laptops where everything's smaller. You got to pack everything in tight spaces. So what I do, for example, a lot of times I'll put tape over, you got the little microphone thing. I know it doesn't work very well, but you have to put a few layers of tape. It could at least buffer it so much that you really need to hear a loud sound for something to happen. So that's kind of more of a Band-Aid, more of a nothing else going on. But what I would do if you want to disable microphone is on the operating system, maybe even the BIOS. So there's a few different approaches. So one is the operating system. You can go into Windows settings, you can go into Linux or whatever, and just disable microphone, disable access, all that stuff, which is what I usually do for a lot of computers.
Uninstall the
And
driver,
then
maybe.
uninstall the driver, just make it not work. Like if it can't figure out how to talk to the hardware, if your operating system can't talk to the hardware, then it's gonna be very hard for it to use the hardware to, for someone else to use the hardware who's wanting to use it. Or in the BIOS as well, you may be able to, when you first boot up the computer, go into the BIOS settings, you may be able to disable hardware such as microphone there. And then physical stuff, if you can locate where the microphone is, maybe you can unsolder it, maybe you can somehow block or buffer the noise so it doesn't go over there. What else? Those are the three most common ways I can think of doing it. And if it's on Mac versus Windows versus Linux, it can be different settings, but you just Google for how to disable microphone. Should be plenty of documentation on it. Open the computer, clip out the microphone. Yeah, there you go. Especially on the older desktops, a lot of them were just literally two wires to a speaker connected to just clips on the motherboard. You can just unhook it, clip them, whatever you want. Still used to do it in the cars too. I especially the older truck models and stuff, you can just literally get in there. It's like, oh, you don't like the ding, ding, ding sound when the door opens? Just snip them. Just snip the wires. Not truck advice. Not any audio advice there. Because if you ever resell it, then maybe they like the noise. I don't like noises though. I don't like the little dee dee dee. I don't like that. I want to wrap my laptop in tinfoil. I want everything off of it. Yeah, you can go. I don't know. At a certain point, I actually just posted a clip on this about max security. And like a lot of people, they've asked me before too, like what's the most secure way to do this or that, especially when it comes to validator stuff too. And for me, I don't go for max security. Like I don't go for like the most secure possible because I have a life. I don't want to spend a bunch of time doing security all the time. I just want to do the best ROI stuff. That's it. Like you're probably not going to be targeted by nation state attackers. If you don't use Windows, you're going to get away from a lot of the malware anyways. If you use Mac or Linux, you're going to save yourself from that. If you're just able to just do some simple things, keep your stuff up to date, blah, 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 then you don't have to have all these like crazy encryption, like all this stuff going on. You can still do it to have a baseline security, but like a lot of people go into it assuming they're going to be hacked as soon as they plug it into the internet, unless they do all these things. And the reality is most people don't care. Unless it's some malware that's just going to like trying to get everyone possible because your browser's up to date and knows how to exploit this particular version. Like you can get caught in those like wide net sort of scenarios where malware is just running crazy over the internet. But generally speaking, if you keep stuff up to date, you try try not to use Windows if you can. Honestly, that's my biggest opinion. Biggest bang for buck. Use Mac, use Linux if you're going to browse the internet and do stuff, especially in crypto stuff. Passwords, C phrases, all that crypto stuff as well. But you don't have to strive and like spend all this time and have all the anxiety and nervousness and stuff over having the best security possible. You can just, what's the phrase? There's like a phrase that's something like, good security beats the security that makes you lose. I'm coming up with it. Good security beats the security that makes you lose all your stuff because you can't find it because you spread it over 50 continents. Like, just come up with a good security plan. And chances are, like, you're not going to need max security in a lot of ways anyways. That doesn't mean be lazy. Doesn't mean be careless. It just means like, don't like, unless you're just intellectually curious about a lot of stuff. I mean, you're probably not going to be targeted anyways. So, Black Pepper's video is fitting. Had some weird thing happen at the coffee shop. Random heard voice to the speaker. Gosh. Black Pepper, get out. Down, Black Pepper, down. Don't let him take it. No, I think you just heard some, you heard somebody on 56K modem who wanted to mess with you, maybe. That'd be funny. I haven't heard a 56K modem or 6K modem for a long time. 28.6. Like go down the lines of the KBS. Vince knows what I'm talking about, Vince.
Yeah, there back.
Vince used dial-up about 20 years ago, I imagine, like me.
Yep, I made my parents very angry hogging up the phone line when I was logging on, chatting with people on AOL Instant Messenger and all that.
Dude,
yeah. We had to get a second phone line.
I'm with you, yeah. I never had a second phone line, but it was this war between unplugging, plugging it in, limitations, time limits, and maybe some late nights when everyone's asleep, getting my chats in, and that's the interesting part about the internet, especially growing up with it. You could, it kind of removes a lot of barriers for just talking to people all over the world. talk to people you'd never meet in your hometown. Like we're talking now. I met you over here. We're in the modern internet age. I'm not even talking about people in Australia and New Zealand and UK and China and all that stuff. So that was a pretty cool experience growing up during the birth of the internet when it became popular, and having the R2D2 sounds coming out instead of just the everyone's just got gigabit internet these days, it seems like, and they just use their phone. They barely even use computers. So anyways, Vince, thanks for demoing this with me, man. I really appreciate it. I know you've been working on validator stuff a lot, and I've tried my best to make sure my scripts and stuff are up to date. You definitely.
Thanks to you, by the way, because I've learned a lot from you, and started with your scripts all the way from testnet v3, and it's worked out pretty well for me. And I've also been running validators on behalf of a couple of other people too, and it's all worked pretty well. So thanks for that.
Dude, that's awesome. No, I'm glad. One is glad to be of service, as I like the meme from Bicentennial Man, one of my favorite scenes. Yeah, man, I'm glad you found it useful. I think it's one of those things, again, just trying to have utility in the community, trying to help people see the power of this network and see the power of this community, and us just doing cool stuff. It doesn't even have to be crypto related. We have a lot of people with a lot of different talents, and we have musicians and tech people such as yourself. That's what I was going to say too. That you're one of the few people in the community who can actually, I can send code to, like, oh yeah, Vince, like, do you understand this? You want to like demo it or something? And you can actually use Linux, and could come up with this type of tech stuff, which most people can use MetaMask, and they probably know a few other things. But as far as running Python code, you're one of the few people who has those type of skills. So I'm glad you're setting up validators, and I'm glad that we can talk tech every once in a while, man. All right, everyone. Didn't get any questions for anything else. You guys have any questions from anything security, crypto related? I know we spent a lot of time on the demo, but maybe we'll spend just a couple minutes if we don't have any questions. But Vince, do you have any interesting security things that you've seen or want to talk about or bring up?
Actually, there was one thing that I didn't bring up earlier, but it's perfectly related to this topic that we're on right now, which is something I saw yesterday. Basically, an article that was talking about how now hackers have these AI tools now that they can, similar to this, they can actually, once they have access to your microphone, they can listen in to your keystrokes on your keyboard, and the AI can actually help predict typed text within like 95% accuracy. So they could steal your passwords that way, or they could even steal your seed words that way.
Wow.
So yeah, that's something to be careful of when it comes to open microphone access to.
Sound. You got to look out for sound.
Powerful. Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like, I think again, I feel like the military and stuff already had all these advanced tools doing all this stuff too. But
it's cool to just come in the civilian world.
I think so. I'm just gonna play a couple of these videos too to see. So they're using like this as a message. Oh, maybe this is a messaging app they made out of it. Waiver. So they're listening for. I guess they're just using two devices to literally transfer data, I guess, with a messaging app between two devices. Wow, that is cool. You see the little messages had the red thing. I guess I'll go to it. Yeah, here in a second. Yeah, sound has been one of the overlooked attack surfaces for sure. That's what we wanted to bring out today, kind of make people aware of it. These types of things to look out for. Microphones. Fixed length. Wow, getting a Matrix vibe on the screen to the right. Click on messages. I want to see it. He's going to click on it. Maybe it's up here. Let's see, what's this one? Okay, well, this is from a computer. Okay, yeah, basically same thing. So it's sending message, receiving it. That is super cool. Boom, hello, receiving sound data. Look familiar, Vince?
Very
Yeah. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. All right, everyone. I think that's all we got for you today. Mike Block. It's a new win Mike token, Dev. Win Mike token.
Oh no.
when can I sacrifice for the microphone token that disables my microphone so I can be more secure? Shout out to Mikecoin. That's probably a coin. Probably not microphone coin though. Shout out to Mikecoin. Doing security right. All right, everyone. Vince, what do you want to take us out on?
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks for the demo. It was fun, and learned a lot. And yeah, just everyone out there, just be careful. Turn off your mics when you're not using them. And, maybe play around with this if when RHMax makes it public, if you want.
Oh, it's live. Yeah. I just released it last night. Yeah, so the code is live. I will share it in the chat. Boom. Code is live if anyone wants to play with it. And again, if you get it working on Windows, do a pull request or otherwise tell me how. And I'll add it to the wiki because last time it was failing to build. But I know it'll work. We just couldn't get it to work for the demo. But we did it between 2 Linux boxes today. I'm sure it works on Mac too. It just takes a little bit of tinkering. So yeah, protect those microphones. Vince Coin. Hold on. Mic Lock's a real product? Okay, I'm going to look that up now. Okay. Interesting. Maybe that's a thing that does just disable your microphone. Okay, there you go. Product market fit. Let's do it. All right, everyone. Scivive and 5555. We are out.